Hello, ladies and gents, welcome. At the end of this video, you should be very comfortable with knowing which platform you would like to build with, whether Vapi or Retell, because this year I've probably built about 20 plus different projects that are all in production at the moment and working out there. So we also teach you on how to do this in our Voice AI Bootcamp. We have over 800 members in our free community, and you get to learn how to build and sell these Voice AI agents. The Vapi was founded in 2020. It is more of a developer-focused platform, has extensive technical documentation and quite a lot of tutorials available. Retell was founded in 2023, YC-backed and more general audience focus. Okay, so as soon as you log into the screen, if you want to see the overview of your calls, this is how it looks like. And then in Retell, you can see the cost, the call minutes, and the average cost per call here as well. The assistant creation UI is quite similar in one way. You have the ability to create an assistant. In Vapi, it's in the sort of like the top middle, and in Retell, it is a little bit more to the top right. The next part is the initial message options. So the initial message is the thing that the assistant will say right off the bat, and you can have it set in 3 different ways on both platforms. They just code a little bit differently. Let's say with Retell, you can set it to silent, dynamic, or defined. Defined just means that the agent will say a very specific thing at the start, and it is always the same thing, is quiet. Retell has the option for pause before speaking at the start of the call to ensure there are no words being cut out. So sometimes, not often, the start message on Vapi will, let's say you have hello, how are you? The hello might sometimes get cut out, and this is why Retell implemented this feature here. Next up is the LLM providers. And if you've gotten this far through this video, I will be putting the PDF of this whole thing and a video to this as well in our Voice AI Bootcamp. It will be in the Tech Essentials course. Cool. So for the LLM providers, for production purposes, I actually only use OpenAI. I don't use anything else here. Very new one recently is DeepSeek, and I haven't tried that in production yet, so I'm not sure. It'd be quite interesting. It's extremely cheap, so 50 times cheaper than anything else. Retell has OpenAI Anthropic for the LLM. And let's then move on to voice and text to speech options in both of these platforms. So Vapi offers punctuation boundaries for voice modulation, word pronunciation, and it is available but requires in-depth knowledge of JSON API and Vapi structure. So you need to be able to do that via the API calls. The word pronunciation in Retell, however, is right in the UI. You just press a button and then put a few words in, use the phonetic language, and off you go. With voice provider options, this is the list of them. The one that I use the most is 11 Labs, and in Vapi, you can't control the speed or the volume like you can in Retell. You can also, though, use a custom voice, or OpenAI does also offer real-time voices as well as in Retell. Honestly, I haven't used PlayHDM or any of the other ones like Rhyme AI because I feel like the quality of the voices isn't as good as OpenAI, even though they are like a cent or two cheaper. I feel like it's better to pay a couple more cents and receive better quality voices. Which our clients very much value. So let's move on to the next one. So the background and ambient sounds. So in Vapi, there is the office voice, and in Retell, you have the choice of all these like background ambient voices. Vapi one has the background denoising enabled button. It is directly in the UI, and they've updated recently to be using Crisp for that. You can also mimic the same thing as background denoising in Retell AI using specific settings that they're provided in this documentation here. So for the transcribers, which is speech to text, in Vapi, we have a few choices: DeepGram, TalkScriber, Gladia, Assembly, and Azure. The most used one for myself and our agency is DeepGram. And from my understanding, Retell uses an in-house one, quite possibly even DeepGram, just in the back end. So for the transcribers languages choices, so this is probably the most useful part for you if you want to build something other than English. Just by looking at it, uh, your first thought would be Vapi has quite a lot of different languages to pick from, and Retell has less. However, we don't really get most of these language requests anyway. Our most asked are actually already in this list already. So our most asked are German, Spanish, and English, or multilingual English and Spanish, and both of these offer the same things. So I'll just scroll through this slowly so you can have a look. And is there the ability to import voices from somewhere else? So yes, you can import 11 Labs voices and Play HD to both of the platforms. Now the next section is phone numbers, which is also quite important. So you are limited to Twilio and Vonage to import numbers into Vapi. Trunking is documented but can be difficult setup. Few tutorial videos, dev support can take up to an average of 3 days or more. Retell has SIP trunking capability with elastic options. So elastic, fancy word, is essentially just for cloud-based phone numbers. So just numbers that are online. Now the latency with phone numbers, it does kind of really depend how far you're calling and how quick the, let's say, Twilio Vonage is. But latency, for instance, can be about a second for web, about a second for retail. Phone average is about 1.5, and phone latency would also be close to that, maybe a little bit less. Depends with the settings that you choose in there. So here's also some pictures. We also compare Vapi and Retell, like sound-wise and time-wise, like at the end of this video as well. So you guys will get a good feeling and see which one you think might be better. So for the knowledge bases, this is quite important. It's been reported that Vapi's conical provider sometimes doesn't work, and it does make the agent way more expensive. So you might have at the start the cost of your prompt to be like 13 cents, but because you've got a big knowledge base, the price is actually not 13 cents, but it might be close to 20, because it's reading your whole knowledge base at every single turn. So it adds about 500 tokens a go into your prompt, and over longer polls, this does create hallucinations. So Treve is another option here. Is a new provider that Vapi just connected with. You can only do this via API. It is not in the user interface at all. So you'd have to set that up via using the documentation and some API calls. And it takes quite a few steps to set up properly. So in here, for Retell, you have the ability to have automated web scraping for knowledge base, and this can be refreshed every 24 hours at the moment. You can also preview the chunks in the text LLM testing option as well, and you can upload any kind of file documents, web pages, or you can just add text directly to it. Tools creation. If you are going to be developing these, tools are one of the most important things that you'll be creating, because this is what connects Retell or Vapi to other things like CRMs, make.com, Go High Level, whatever else, or even your calendars. So with Vapi, you can create the tools in the UI, and there is no JSON required to build them in there. You can connect directly to make.com or a Go High Level workflow scenario directly. You can control what the agent will say when it's running the tool, if it's delayed, if there's an error, or the request start message. So for instance, if you're sick of hearing the wait a sec, wait one moment, or something like that, you can actually eliminate that completely, or have it say something completely else while it's doing that tool call. So that's a possibility. With Retell, you can create the tools in the UI. However, writing your own JSON is required. However, it's actually quite easy just to grab the examples that are provided by Retell and just throw them through ChatGPT. to create your own if you're not sure how to write some JSON structures or objects. You can also choose whether the agent will be speaking during the tool call, which is quite important for tool calls that happen extremely quickly. And in our cases, with the way that we set up our make.com scenarios, they're probably about a second and a half or less. It goes like that. And the agent, you don't want it to keep on saying, wait a moment, 1 sec, please, while it's making the tool call. We just want to be silent. So, which is really cool to just have a button there to turn that off. You can have an LLM generated message while it's making the tool call via the general tools execution message description. It's just available via the API, however, but you can do that there. That also creates a bit of like a more kind of like natural flow when it's making the tool calls to be different each time. If your run is close, like less than a second and a half, then you probably just want it to be silent. If you've created the tools, you will need some kind of playground to test them. The only way to test at the moment in Vapi is mainly via a web call, and this costs credits. And each time you need to test, you will pay the assigned amount of money. So let's say on average about 14 cents a minute. There is no way to deterministically test a specific tool call without doing a web call. You'd have to use something like Postman, for example, to send the JSON of that tool call repeatedly so you can keep on testing your stuff in the back end. With Retell, you can test your tools. Let's say you want to check appointments in your calendar. You can do that right in the chat. And you'll be able to see the result and the thing that is sent right in the UI as well, which is what Vapi here doesn't offer. So next, let's say you've made your first assistant. It's a single prompt agent, and it does a few little specific things, but you now want to add more stuff to it. So let's say you don't want to just to greet people and ask be able to answer basic questions, but now you wanted to schedule, reschedule, cancel, and book appointments. For that, you will need some kind of more sophisticated system. And then in Vapi, the perfect tool for that is squads. It is the ability to split one huge prompt into multiple smaller agents that do specific jobs like booking, rescheduling, etc. Blocks is another feature in Vapi. However, it is still not production ready as discussed by Vapi's dev team, and this is as of the 11th of January 2025. In Retell, we have the same kind of idea where you're able to break very complex agent into multiple smaller prompts, or they call that states or stages. And it is the ability to then split like little branches, or like sort of like a tree diagram. I'll show you if you guys ever did tree diagrams in maths. And each state has its own smaller, simple prompt, and this then provides less hallucinations also. And this is really cool because you can have like a main overlapping prompt that sits over the top of everything. So let's say you want to have like a main overarching tool, which is really useful to have the end call tool that can be over over the top of every single one of your other states that you've created. So you don't need to go and add that same tool to like 10 or 5 different states. So the next thing, you've done your calls, you've maybe done some testing, and now you want to see a specific call maybe that was made, or you want to filter it out. Both of these platforms offer basically the same thing. The UI just looks slightly differently. So I don't think there's much to say here. They both give quite a lot of detail on each and every single call that was done. Let's say you've got your first client, or you want to work on a client's projects within their Vapi account. Well, they can invite you, or you can invite them to your own Vapi account or Retell. So for costs, that's probably the next biggest one that you guys will be interested in. Cost, Vapi has a fixed platform fee of 5 cents per minute. Another thing that happens with Vapi is that the cost increase with prompt length. So initially your cost might be 11 cents, then you might your prompt might triple in length, and so it will also take up more tokens. That means that it might cost, let's say, instead of 11 cents a net, now might be 14 or 16. And this is an example of a full cost breakdown, and you actually see it in the UI. If you just want to have a quick and dirty phone number ready, you can buy one for $2 per month. And that is the same for retail as well. And those only work in US and Canada from my current understanding. With retail, however, there is no fixed platform fee. So everything costs them 5 cents less per minute. And the cost doesn't increase with the prompt length or complexity. So it's definitely more cost effective when you're making more complex or longer agents. Next thing up is the concurrency. So what is concurrency? Let's say in Vapi's case, 10 concurrent calls at the same time. What that means is you can have 10 people calling up one phone number at the same time. As soon as one of those 10 people like finish a call, another person can then jump into that call. Basically, how many simultaneous calls you can have at any one time. If you want to increase your concurrent calls from 10, let's say you want to go up to 11, that'll cost you $10 extra per month. And just a word of note, there's also a limit of 10 outbound calls per day with the Vapi bought numbers. That we're getting reports from Twilio that people were using those numbers as spam too much. So probably the same thing with retail as well, although I haven't received confirmation. By default, retail actually offers 20 concurrent calls by default. I think that's huge. When we were making our big outbound calls, we were definitely cranking them close to 20 a day. And in Vapi, we would have needed to pay almost $100 extra for that a month. Okay, and some example costs, still going with the cost theme. So let's say you're running GPT-4o with 11 labs, the total cost in Vapi would be about 11 to 12 cents. This is including Twilio. But you could run potentially into more higher costs with increased of prompt length, etc. In retail, that cost would be somewhere like 0.7 and 9 per minute. Here's actually a result from one of our clients. They did 168 calls. It cost them $81, and the cost per call, not per minute, this is different. Cost per call was about 24 cents. Yeah. And here's another one. We did. Actually, it doesn't tell you how many calls we did here, does it? It tells you the usage. So call minutes we had 166, and the average cost per minute was 6 cents. This is quite a common question that we get in our Voice AI Bootcamp. How much does Twilio cost? Or what's the cost of my thing when... So it actually costs $0.15 per minute. You can also see this by going into Twilio and typing in voice. If you just type in geographic, you'll get this come up, and then you can actually see the price per minute in each country. Next part is the dynamic variables. I probably only use this one and this one. And yeah, I probably use all three of these in retail, especially for the multi-prompt agents. And the current time is given in PST, and the time in Vapi is given in UTC. Retail is that you can test directly with your dynamic variables within the UI without having to like do a dynamic agent outside of Vapi in, let's say, in make.com and put those variables into your call, or have to manually type them in. You can actually just do a quick test within there. So like end of call report and stuff. Vapi has more than 4 analysis tools. It has some evaluation rubrics, structured data extraction, and complex evaluation metrics. Retail has roughly 4 analysis tools. You can set them up yourself, and they work pretty good outside the box. They also offer a partnership with Handling AI for automated testing as well. So yeah, SDKs, software development kits. So if you're more of a developer, you can do this in TS, JavaScript, Ruby, or C++, or Go in Vapi. And Retell supports Node.js and Python for that. Okay, so now imagine you're doing an outbound campaign and you want to make sure that your calls actually go through into voicemail. In Vapi, you need to do one very specific thing, and that is to patch your assistant with a tool called type of voicemail. If you don't have this enabled, it'll use the default Twilio machine detecting kind of system, which is very, very unreliable. And obviously, this includes some knowledge of APIs and how to do this in the first place. However, in Retell, there is just a button. You can click on that, and you can also change the content of the voicemail message. Same with Vapi as well. Okay, so for the end of call reporting, both of them give you everything that you need to, and both of them use server URLs to send information through to wherever your backend is. So here's some extra paid features that the platform have. Vapi offers HIPAA compliance for about $1,000 per month, Slack support for about $5K a month, and the ability to increase concurrency, let's say to 20 from 10. This will cost you roughly $100 per month, and you can turn this down once you do a high volume day. Retell offers spam call remediation and a business profile setup for number verification, and a T-Mobile and other providers business name display for your phone. However, I actually probably just recommend doing it in Twilio. It's much cheaper, and even though it does take you a little bit of time to set up, I think it's worth it to do it that way. However, if you just want to pay someone to do it for you, then it is actually an excellent option as well. So some extra integrations and features. So tools that we create in Vapi, they integrate directly with make.com and go high level scenarios. You can assign longer pauses after a transcript with numbers. So this is a cool feature because if you're asking for someone to repeat, to tell you their phone number, sometimes the agent jumps in way too quick while someone's thinking of the number. So that will, you can actually tell it to wait how long after a number detection it waits. The whole team is very quick to react to market updates. Same with Retell. A big feature I'd say in Retell is that they have a native cal.com integration, and they take care of the whole booking backend for you, which is absolutely insane. They have the test element of the text feature is probably one of my favorite features as well, because you get to test for free in there without having to chat. And when my family is asleep and things like that, this has really helped me to test, because so I don't have to keep on talking to it. Hamming AI, if you're not sure what they do, is they allow you to automate the testing process, and Retell also has the ability to handle outbound batch calls for you from within the UI. You don't have to set anything in make.com, for instance. You can just throw in an Excel sheet that's specifically formatted, and it will do the batch calls for you. There's also this speech normalization in the UI, which is a big problem I had with like real estate kind of setups. And yeah, this just helps with pronouncing numbers. And the team's actually highly responsive to everything. If you care about compliance, both of these platforms are HIPAA and GDPR, and they both have SOC 2 compliance as well. You can also view these in our Voice AI Bootcamp. The link is up above or below this video. This is where you'll be able to access this PDF for free and learn how to build voice AI agents with us there as well. So hopefully you will by now know which one of those platforms is more for you. You will get a gut feeling. Now, if you're still not sure, I'm about to do a test call on both the platforms from Vapi and Retell. They're going to have the exact same prompt, same knowledge base, same voice. So let's go to that. I'm going to ask them 3 very specific questions. They'll be exact same ones, and see if it's the same result. And we also have the same KB in each. KB looks something like this. And the question I'm asking is, what is the price of a medium basic t-shirt? So it should just say $24.99. Okay, let's see.
Hi, thank you for calling Awesome Threads. This is Dory. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How can I help you today?
How much is the medium basic t-shirt?
The medium basic t shirt is $24.99. Is there anything else you would like to know?
Okay, thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. If you have any more questions in the future, feel free to reach out. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Okay, so that was a test with Vapi, and now we'll do exact same prompt, same knowledge base, same voice, same everything, and same welcome message as well.
Hi, thank you for calling Awesome Threads. This is Dory. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How can I help you today?
How much is the medium basic t-shirt?
The medium basic t shirt is $24.99. Is there anything else you would like to know?
No, that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome. If you need anything else in the future, feel free to reach out. Have a great day.
So that was a basic test in terms of voice and speed. So let's now compare the two. And yeah, I'm interested because I'm analyzing this call. Seems between the last time I spoke, so it's like 24 seconds roughly. 25 is the next time she responds, so it's about a second in between, with about 16 seconds here, 15-ish, and then 16 when she responds. About a second for the web call response. With retail, I can't see it as clearly. Uh, but we can kind of see here. How much is the medium basic t-shirt?
The medium basic t shirt is $24.99.
How much is the medium basic t-shirt?
The medium basic t shirt is $24.99. Is
See,
there anything else you would like?
that to me was also quite an instant there. So yeah, it was exactly the same setup, just in a different platform. It's up to you guys, whatever you think